time no see, but we are back with another episode of Revisions. Today is, I believe it's March 25th, 26th, one of those two, 26th, Thursday, March 26th. I'm recording this. Been a little minute. I've been kind of MIA majority of this month. It's been a lot of stuff I've been adjusting to, and just trying to find a good balance between work, life, play, creating, all that kind of stuff. But here we are, and I'm very glad to say that this month has been really, really good for a handful of reasons. Obviously, we'll get into some of that. Yeah, so Revisions, welcome back, guys. This is a space where we rewrite life cycles, refine who we are, and reimagine the journey, one conversation at a time. I want to start doing this more often. I want to do like a kind of like setting the tone for today's episode and kind of walk through kind of like some affirmations essentially. So feel free to repeat this after me if you like. If not, just absorb it. And yeah, we'll jump into today's episode. This is a space for revision, for returning to the soul, and for reclaiming the pieces we left behind. Here, we don't just talk, we remember, we rewrite narratives that no longer serve us, and we reshape what healing sounds like and what the journey looks like. Before we begin, I want everybody to just take a deep breath. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let's get started. So, this episode is going to be kind of like a recap and also a setting a foundation for the next couple episodes, really the rest of the episodes throughout the rest of this year. I know I spoke with y'all kind of briefly, probably in the intro video or maybe even my second episode, where I was talking about how a huge part of this, I wanted to be community led and also co-creative, in the sense that I really want to get to the point where it's obviously not just myself on here. I want to have guests. So what I'd like to do, and still kind of playing with how I'm going to do this, but I will figure it out. And once I do, y'all will be the first to know. I want to create a space for other creatives or just anybody in general who will be interested in telling their story and sharing their perspective, allowing them space to come on. And as a photographer myself, I do think a really great way to do that would be to collaborate with other creatives, namely other photographers, artists, models, just anybody in my lane or realm who is experiencing anything in their journey that they'd like to share. That's the whole purpose of this, really, is to foster connection through conversation and sharing perspective and using that to grow and build and connect. So with that being said, look out for, I'll probably make some kind of a poll or a community chat or something where we can kind of come together and people can tell their stories, essentially. And if you're willing, of course, I'd love to have a guest or two on here just to have a conversation about, similar experiences or experiences that are very vastly different, and just kind of come to a place where we can use what we've experienced as a means to grow, obviously, but also connect and build. Ultimately, I care about everybody having a space to show up as themselves, as well as to feel seen, heard, and understood. Because those are things that are important to me, obviously. So, yeah, that's number one, right? Because this month for me has honestly showed me how important, and I knew this already. This is honestly something that I've known for a while now. This month has showed me how invaluable community is. There is no price that you can put on having a space that you can go to and just encounter like-minded individuals and really be able to see yourself through somebody else's experience. I think what everybody could honestly agree and say that storytelling and sharing stories about stuff we've been through or have gone through or will go through or are currently dealing with is the basis of connection, right? We read books and we watch movies and TV shows and listen to documentaries and podcasts, and everything that we do is centered around a conversation, communication, and shared experiences. And I feel like what can be taken from all of that is that every conversation that we have with other people is really just a conversation with ourselves. It just helps us to see that it's a conversation with ourselves by talking to somebody else. And that goes pretty much in every direction you can imagine. There are people who view a lot of things negatively because they have their own negative perception of it in their mind. But then you talk to somebody else who views that same thing in a different light because they have a different perspective. And I think one of the beautiful things about communication is that a lot of times it doesn't even require words, right? A lot of times we can understand what somebody is going through without having to know everything about them, simply because we have emotions. Like, we're empathetic by nature, and most of the time when you come across other people and they're experiencing things, yeah, we can talk about it, but usually talking doesn't ever really solve the problem. But somebody showing up for you and actually living through an experience with you, or just sharing a moment with you in that experience, tends to do a lot more than just talking ever could, which is something that I think is really, really, really impactful, especially in my life. I know that I've had a lot of conversations with people, and sometimes talking does a lot. It helps more than actions could. But inversely, actions do speak louder than words. So having a conversation with people and getting to know somebody for who they are and using that as a means to connect with them on a deeper level than just conversation, it shows how much you actually care, you know? So I always keep stuff like that in mind, and that's a huge part of what I want to do in this space, especially in the conversations that I have with other people. So yeah, keep an eye out for updates on honestly coming on the show. If you're interested in coming on the show, either reach out to me via email, DM, text, whatever means necessary. And I'd love to have a conversation, share memories, stories, experiences, anything really. And yeah, I want to segue from that into what has been kind of burning on my chest recently. like I said, I've been very busy this month and doing a lot of things, but I have been taking time for myself to process and navigate my own emotions and make space for them and hold space for them too. And I find different ways to do that. I do it through reading, I do it through journaling, I do it through listening to music, going to the gym. Pretty much in everything I do, I try to pay attention to how I'm feeling, because it will always tell where you're at mentally and will usually reflect in where you're at physically as well. And this month through my reading, I learned a lot about, because let me slow down a little bit. This month, we'll get into what I read this month. I read The Alchemist. Again, I've reread this book a handful of times. Anybody who knows anything about this book knows that it is probably one of the best books ever written. That might be up for debate, but not in my eyes. I think this book has so much value. It teaches lessons that are timeless, and I genuinely feel like anybody, and I really mean anybody, could read this book and pull, if not something, a lot of things from it. Which is again why I read it multiple times. I read it whenever I'm kind of in a transitionary period of my life. I read it whenever I feel lost. I read it whenever I just want to read a good story, honestly. This is just a great story that anybody can kind of put themselves in the shoes of our hero, Santiago. And obviously the author, Paulo, amazing. Some of his other books are also really good too. I've read a handful of them. There's another one called The Pilgrimage, which is very similar to this, but a completely different storyline, but still just as good. Highly recommend. Yeah, I read this month. I actually just finished it not that long ago, maybe like a day ago. And then my personal read for this month, it was recommended in this online book club that I saw. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. This book right here, I'll be honest, was not what I was expecting, but was very good to read. Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. And obviously, as you can guess, that's a pretty dark experience. He details that in the first half of this book, just talks about some of the stuff that he endured and some of the observations he made. He is I believe he was a psychologist, but he was very into like how the brain works. And he observed a lot of things while he was in the concentration camps, because he went to multiple different ones. And the main takeaway, because I don't want to get into everything he talks about in the book, I highly suggest you read it for yourself. The main thing he took from it was that, and I talked about it in my YouTube video not that long ago, but he talked about what it means to have a purpose and where that purpose can come from and how it looks different for everybody. But as long as you have one, nothing, literally nothing could stop you. Not even the Holocaust, not even the crazy things that are happening in the world today. Like, as long as you have that, you will always have a reason to live, right? And so these two books this month really helped me to reflect and do some introspection into my own life and, you know, what purpose looks like for me, realizing my personal legend, like in The Alchemist, and just understanding what I uniquely offer that nobody but me could do. And I think that's a huge part of what I've been experiencing lately, is stepping into my experience with no like shame, fear, guilt, really anything other than intention and a deep desire to realize my potential. Like, I talk about it all the time. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm really big on like self-development and growth and just trying to optimize my life, because I do feel like there are a lot of things that I could improve. and a lot of things that I would like to have. But at the same time, I'm content with what I do have because it's gotten me this far, and I wouldn't be me without all the things that I've endured or experienced, or even the things that I haven't endured or experienced. Like every single thing that I've gone through or done in my life has made me who I am today. And that being a part of my purpose and my mission is also important. Like the past, the future, the present are all equally important because of a handful of different things. The past holds all of the truths and missions and desires that you already once wanted, if that makes sense, and have realized and actualized. Like if you had a goal for last year and you met it and it lives in the past, that was meant to have that level of importance. Like, and it doesn't have to be anything grand. I think what people sometimes fail to realize, especially with this day and age of like always one-upping yourself and always moving on to the next thing and being bigger and better all the time, is that even in a very simple, quote unquote, or mundane life, there are so many grand things that a human can do and achieve. And we minimize a lot of our own accomplishments and achievements because of what we see other people doing or not doing, you know? And all that does is take from what we did do. Like, the past to me is a portal to all the greatness that you have achieved. And if anything, it's an omen or like a vision of what you can do again, right? If you did it once, you can do it again. If you overcame a struggle before, you can overcome your next obstacle. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, as long as you have that determination and that perseverance to keep going, like a level of resilience even, there's nothing that you can't surmount. And the present holds a lot of potential as well, simply because this is the moment. We live in such a fast-paced environment and in such a fast-paced society that sometimes we feel like we don't have a lot of time. And truth be told, we don't. All we really have is right now. We don't know what the future holds, and we never will until it's here. And when it's here, it's not the future anymore, it's the present. And soon it'll be the past. So what I took away from the book, because he talks a lot about the importance of actualizing potential and not being stuck in any one particular period of time. Sometimes being present, literally and figuratively in the moment, holds all of the reward that this life can offer. Because of how fast things tend to move, a lot of times we're constantly thinking about the future and thinking about the next thing and what's going to happen next week and next month and next year, when in reality, none of that matters more than what's happening right now today. And I'm grateful to be able to say that being intentional and living in the moment has been something that I've been trying to do. And I can say I've been successfully doing for some time now, because I know how easy it is to get caught up and wrapped up in living in the future and trying to be proactive and like constantly prepare for that next thing. You just end up stressing yourself out and causing so much mental anguish. And so, and obviously the future is important because there's a lot of potential there as well for the things that you can actualize and improve on in your day-to-day. So the book talks about, and I'm talking about Viktor Frankl's book, he talks a lot about the importance of a strong mental resilience, essentially. There's a quote, and I know I'm going to butcher the name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. But there is a quote from a man who says, if a man or woman, if a human being knows his why, he will endure anyhow. And that's significant for a lot of reasons, but the main one for me, obviously, would just be discovering what that why is, right? And I think it's a lot easier said than done, to be honest, when we have so many options constantly being thrown in our face about what we could be doing, or what's popular, or what's trending, and what's cool and what's not. And there's a million different things that we could all be doing at any given point in time. But regardless of what we choose to do, there's meaning and purpose in everything. So understanding that and living and moving in that allows you to be able to endure anything that comes with it. I think about some of the challenges that I faced, and I can't help but feel like in the moment, some of that stuff felt like I would never see the end of it or get through it. And how like distressed and disheveled I was going through some of those experiences. And then I look back after, overcoming that hurdle and thinking like, man, that was so like small. Like that was such a minuscule object that I genuinely thought was going to cause me so much distress, and that it would never end, and all those things that we think when the worst happens. And it's honestly never ever that bad until it's the end. Like, and in the end, it's the end, so it doesn't matter, right? It's over. But I just find it so interesting how such a simple quote can have so much weight, because it is really that simple. Like, if you know what you're doing it for, who you're doing it for, what you're doing it for, why you're doing it, nothing else matters. Like, nothing can stop you when you know your reason for doing whatever you're doing, your purpose, essentially. Within good reason, obviously. Like, and what makes it even more special is the fact that everybody's purpose is unique to them. For example, my purpose in this podcast doesn't matter to anybody else because it's mine. Like, I care about this podcast more for myself than I care about how other people receive it, which has been a huge motivating factor in me continuing to do it. Because, I mean, there's a million things I could be doing. And honestly, I probably never would have imagined that this would be one of them, sitting in front of a camera and recording myself talk and uploading it and just putting it out there and letting people receive it and see me in this way. But at the same time, I'm extremely grateful that this was given to me as something important to do for myself. And all I can hope for is that I make myself proud through it. Nothing else matters, like, all I care about is realizing my own full potential. And if I can help other people along the way, bonus points, So, and I do think that applies to anything and everything that we go through in this experience. Like, any obstacle that you are facing, no matter how bleak it may look, if you know your reason for existing, if somebody told you right now today what your mission is before you leave this earth, you wouldn't stop at anything until it's complete. And Viktor Frankl talks about that because honestly, this book was one of his missions, and look what good it's done, for people who read it, for myself, for him. And for millions of other people who may have experienced stuff just as traumatic or not even as traumatic, but still had a huge impact on them. Him knowing that he needed to see this book out as his life's work before he leaves this earth kept him alive in those concentration camps. And, sometimes your reason can be as simple as making it home to your dog, or, living to a certain age, or taking care of your family, or being there for somebody. Like, love is a great reason to live. Being able to have new experiences is a great reason. Like, there's so many so many different kinds of purpose out there. It doesn't always have to be like grand achievement. He actually talks about how negative that can be to only think about needing to have accomplishments and achievements. Because as humans, that's kind of how our society has progressed. We feel like the more we achieve, the better we are, the better we're doing at this life thing. But life doesn't require that. Like, sometimes an existence can be purposeful just by living a certain lifestyle, taking care of your body, being kind to others, spending time in nature, eating well, taking care of your body, working out, like just living a purposeful life and having an experience that can be looked at as this person knew what they were here to do, And it may take time to even get to the point where you know that. I know I'm still discovering a lot of that for myself. I may have inklings of what I feel like my purpose is in different lanes and things that I'm doing, like this podcast or photography or just in general, like how I approach life. But I'm still figuring it out. 26 years and I still don't have it all figured out. I don't think anybody ever will, realistically speaking. But as long as we have something to aim for, I feel like a purpose is almost like a star that we look at, like a North Star. It keeps us on track. And you aim for these things, these goals. Even if you fall short, but you know that you're aiming for it. If you aim for the stars and you land on a cloud, you still ended up way higher than you ever would have been, or way higher than you started at least. So, yeah, that's basically my synopsis of of that book. Really, really enjoyable, and I'm looking forward to kind of integrating a lot of what I read into my life, as well as sharing some of that with other people who can take nuggets of it and, apply it to themselves and maybe find their purpose and their reason for living. Obviously, The Alchemist, just a great book about pursuing your personal legend, which almost falls hand in hand with the idea of having a purpose. Like, if you're given a mission, a vision, a dream, and you face obstacles to get there, but ultimately you have to see this out and pursue your personal legend, nothing will stop you. Santiago goes broke in this book like 3 times. He gets robbed, he goes broke, everything that could go wrong for him goes wrong. The Alchemist even quotes it and says, if something can go wrong once, it can go wrong twice. If it goes wrong twice, it's bound to go wrong 3 times. And I feel like life does that to us on purpose. It tests us where we are most driven to go, because it wants to see how bad we really want it. And when you know you want something and you reach out and grasp it and try to attain it, your resolve will be tested, of course, but the universe will also conspire to help you when it sees that you are serious about it. And I try to apply that to anything. Like, if I'm serious about hitting a certain weight in the gym and, hitting a certain goal, if I keep applying myself, I know I'll get there. Regardless of how long it takes, how many setbacks I have, how many bad weeks I have, how long I stay at the gym, whatever. So, yeah. that's basically my reads for the month, in a nutshell. Next month, I actually don't have my second book for next month, but I did pick up some really good stuff from the Goodwill not that long ago, and I shared this on my Instagram story. I want to say I picked up Things Fall Apart, and I know this is in my list for the year. I don't know what month it is. It may be next month. If so, I'll be reading that next month. And I also picked up Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. Heard a lot of good things about this book. I know a little bit of the premise is basically about censorship and somebody's like burning all of the important literature of the world. Something like that, I believe, which is a very interesting concept considering everything that's going on right now. Can't say I'm surprised that like this doesn't seem very far off from where we are as a race, because yeah. And I also picked up The Art of War, Sun Tzu. I just saw like an Instagram reel about this book not that long ago, which made me want to get it even more. So I'm glad that I picked it up at the Goodwill. I got all those books for like $2 each. Just saying, library cards are fire. If you don't want to do all the work to go get a library card, which really it isn't hard, you just go there and show them your ID. But Good will be having a whole literature section, and the books be like $2, bro. Just saying. So yeah, I will be sharing some of those. I'll be uploading my synopsis and my Goodreads of these two books onto my page. I'll link that, in the description or whatever if y'all want to check those out. And I will also post about what I'll be reading next month. That segues perfectly into the last thing I want to talk about today. Yeah, the last thing I want to touch on, because I don't want this episode to be super long today. Damn, this is good. Oh, duh. Let's see, I brought my memory back. Okay. And I don't know how I forgot it when it was literally right here. The last thing I want to talk about is the book club. Like I told y'all, collaboration, community, I do want that to be a big pillar of this podcast, of this series. So what I'm going to do, probably early April, so be on the lookout for this as well. I'm going to start a book club. I'm going to probably do, one read a month that's kind of group themed. I want to do maybe like a prompt to kind of ask yourself about the book as you go throughout the month and to answer at some point. And then, we can kind of come together, whether that's a physical meetup. I think that would be kind of cool. Obviously for people who are in Atlanta or in Georgia. Or we could do like a virtual thing and kind of just have like a discussion, almost like a panel about the book, and talk about what we got from it, how we can apply some of that to what we're experiencing in our daily day-to-day. And just share ideas and perspectives and have that sense of community over something that I think is very important. Obviously, literature has a very big place in the world when it comes to storytelling and conversations and teaching. And as a student of life, I feel like if you're not reading something, I know some people like audiobooks and stuff like that. I can't knock those. Those are also a great resource. I just honestly prefer a nice physical paperback hard copy book. Literature is huge. I think we wouldn't be here today without some of the books that have passed down ideology and just information that otherwise would be lost. Our minds are such amazing tools that it would be a shame if we never took some of that stuff that was up there and shared it or put it somewhere where other people could access it. So yeah, I want to start a book club. I know I said that in the last episode as well, I believe, or maybe in my YouTube video. I've said it a couple times at least. But next month, and y'all please hold me to this, accountability is huge. So next month, I'm gonna set that up. I'll figure out how I want to do it, how I want to kind of distribute that and do communication for it. But next month, book club starting. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I also am trying to do some cool photography projects. I'm gonna be super excited to share those with you guys soon. I already done some that are in the works, or like I'm just waiting on, you know, some things to be finished so I can actually share them. But yeah, excited to share that with you guys. The next episode of the podcast, I'm gonna try to get it out mid-April. I don't want to keep doing like end of the month episodes. I want to kind of have them on a continuous rolling schedule. But obviously, I'd really like to get to the point where we're having guests on. So I'm gonna aim for a guest next month if possible. And what I want to do, I'm going to introduce this concept on here first, again, because I want y'all to hold me accountable, and I want feedback as well. What I'm thinking about doing, and I talked to my mentor about this, and I think she was also pretty like excited for it, almost as excited as I am. What I like to do is I want to do a photo series for the guests I have on. Whether it's like another photographer or just a creative in general, or just somebody that I admire that I really like to share their perspective and hear their perspective and, you know, put it out there for you guys to also get something from. Yeah, I want to do like a photo series with them, whether it's like something special to them that we bring to life, or maybe just a concept or a theme that fits into what we talk about in their episode. And I want to kind of have like a care package bundle that I deliver to you guys every month with, you know, their story and some images that kind of represent them as a person or their journey or their story. And then kind of, you know, put that all into one thing and put it out there into the world. I think it'd be really cool to have a like a photo journalism podcast, if that makes sense. And obviously this is still very early, still figuring out how any of that will look, but I'd like to see what that would look like and maybe just give it a shot. Even if it doesn't work out, at least like I said, I tried it, right? And yeah, I think I'll wrap up with that. The last thing I really want to say, or share, I should say, is just that with the next coming episodes, and even with the episodes that I've put out so far, I really am grateful for the opportunity to do something like this. I know it doesn't seem like much to others maybe, but it really does bring me a sense of joy to be in a space where I can just let thought flow. I'm honestly a very reclusive person. I don't usually speak unless I'm spoken to. I don't know. I kind of just be in my own world, to be honest. And this is a great way for me to be able to reach out without actually like putting myself in a space where I'm not comfortable. Even though I like being uncomfortable, that's where growth happens. I push myself to grow in other ways also. But this is also uncomfortable for me too because it's new to me and I'm not a pro whatsoever. Week to week, I'm trying to figure out how to make this happen, how to do it in the most effective and streamlined way. But I also know that I can't procrastinate and put off doing something just because it's not perfect. And that's been a huge motivator for me this year. It's on my vision board, and it says, it's like a quote that just says, just make it exist first. We can make it better or make it good or, you know, work on making it look good and sound good and all that other stuff later, right? And for a long time, that was probably my biggest crutch, was that I was so scared to do stuff because it didn't come out perfect or it wasn't great when it came out. It was just okay or decent. But I'm not ever going to be perfect. I'm not aiming for perfection, you know? So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of wrap up my Women's History Month. Shout out to women everywhere. I love women with my whole heart. I'm so appreciative of all the women in my life. and extremely thankful for all the women in the world who brought such important change. There wouldn't be any men without women, number one. And two, behind every great man, behind any man, is a woman. So I'm genuinely appreciative of the level of privilege that I've had in my life to be around such amazing women. For example, my mother, rest her soul. Like, if I could do anything in this life, it would be to experience my mother's energy again, but also to genuinely like absorb the way that she lived, because I still look at her to this day as an example of what it means to live in your purpose. Like, when I think about my mom, I know for a fact that there's nothing that she didn't do. Everything that she needed to do in her life got done, and she lived so intentionally. It's honestly inspiring. So shout out to all of the women in the world who get it done. All of the bosses, all of the go-getters, all the ladies that have never allowed anything to stop them, whether it be circumstance, finances, where you're from, what you look like. Like, there's nothing that you can't do as a woman. And I genuinely feel like if we're ever going to get to a place where the world is truly cohesive in the sense that we all have the same goal in mind, we gotta let some women do something, man. I'm not gonna lie. The world has been run by men since its inception, damn near, and look at where it's at now, right? We're not really, I'm not necessarily saying that like, oh, let women do everything because men can't do nothing. I think it's a partnership. It's a joint effort, right? Men need women. Literally, we need y'all. And I think vice versa, women do need men as well. Even though there are plenty of women who don't need a man for nothing, and I admire them. But that's besides the point. Yeah, I just want to wrap up and say thank y'all again for tuning into this episode of Revisions. Kind of quick one. Thank y'all so much for tuning in again. I hope that March has been kind to you. I look forward to seeing y'all in April and sharing all of my new experiences with y'all and reflecting on old ones, revisiting what was and revising what is. Yeah, I will see y'all soon. Like I said, be on the lookout for the book club. I'm also gonna probably put out a form for like potential, guests. So I'll probably link all that stuff in the description once I have some of that stuff together. Thank y'all for listening, watching, tuning in. I'm about to go sip on this sea moss smoothie and head to work. I love y'all. We'll see you next time.